Everyone wants to hit 10K a month, but most people don't know how, or they just don't have any sort of roadmap or guidance on ways to get there, right? It's the coveted number. Everybody wants to hit 10K a month online. And so here I'm going to show you exactly the roadmap and the journey that we follow ourselves to hit 10K a month and 50K a month and 60, 70, 80K a month and beyond. And the roadmap we follow to help our partners and the people we work with hit that 10K a month, 20K a month, and scale beyond that. So by the end of this video, you will have a very, very clear idea of at least the processes that we follow so that you can even do this yourself. Or if you do decide you want to work with us to follow this roadmap and work and have us hold your hand throughout the whole thing, you can click the link below this video. But let's get right into this here. So this is our partnership journey. This is the process we follow with the businesses we work with. And it does vary slightly depending on where the business is at. If they're a fresh agency starting from zero, or if they're already at that kind of 10, 15K a month mark with an SMMA, but they're looking to get into the AI space and then scale beyond that. There's little kind of nuances and things that we have to take into account. But I'm going to take the approach here as if you're like a 0 to 5K a month agency owner, or you're kind of starting from scratch, you maybe don't have a client yet. This is the process that we're going to follow every single time. So first thing is we have 4 main pillars, as you can see here, 4 main processes that we kind of go through. And these are the rough timelines that we usually see for them. And that if we can maintain these timelines, we're at a good spot. So first thing is onboarding. That's day 1. It's usually a 30 to 45 minute onboarding call with our head of client success, our client success director. He's getting you access to everything, getting you set up with everything, and just setting his first steps from there, setting expectations, everything like that, typical onboarding. Then the next thing is the audit and build. If you're starting from scratch, it's usually just build, but a lot of businesses we work with are already in that kind of 5 to like 30K a month range. So we like to audit as well and see if we can refine certain things right off the bat. And even just some little tweaks right there can change their entire processes and the flow of their business. So this is usually day 2 to 21. We're building all the systems, all the processes, all the sales, everything we need, the funnels, the VSLs, the ads, the automations, everything we need to be able to ultimately launch the ads, which ideally we want to have done by day 21. So end of week 3. Some people we work with get it done very quick. Just depends, right? If you have other kind of priorities in your life, you have family, work. A lot of people come to us with full-time jobs or they're students in school. So they have other things to kind of balance with this. But then that makes the first milestone that much sweeter. It's not even 10K a month. It's let's get you out of that job. And we've actually had a lot of partners who've been able to quit their jobs now. So number 3 here is after we launch the ads, it's acquisition, the sales, the fulfillment, just overall bringing cash in and closing clients. Then number 4 is beyond that, scaling and support. This is usually, ideally when we hit this end of day 60 here, because acquisition really goes forever, right? But the main kind of timeline of when you're just purely closing clients and not really worrying about scaling or anything like that is usually in kind of day 22 to 60. So the first kind of week 3 to week 8, give or take. And that's usually what we see. So by the end of this year, that's what most of our partners are usually at 10K a month at this mark. They've closed 10K, 15K, they closed a couple clients. As long as they're putting in the work, we have no doubt that they're going to hit the 10K a month mark by day 60 here, because that's 5 weeks of running ads. We know how to run ads good. So we can definitely get you booked appointments and then you close the deals and bring that cash through. So then once you're usually at that kind of 15K a month mark or so, then it's really about scaling now. Sometimes sooner, maybe 10K a month, we want to work on scaling. And that's where we really help you. It's day 61 to 180, and I'll get into this a bit more. But we work with businesses for 6 months. Some we have the options where you can continue with us, but 6 months is really all we need. By the end of the 6 months, our goal is to have you completely self-sufficient. You no longer need us at all, and you've learned everything. You have the skills, the necessary knowledge to just be able to continue in scaling and building yourself. So let's get into this here and let's go through in a bit more detail. Let me zoom in a little bit more here. So onboarding. Oops, let me close this. So onboarding, first thing, right? So day 1, onboarding call. At this point, you would have already kind of filled out your onboarding form. You would have given us some more information. That information would have got sent to us, and you would have booked in your onboarding call. And this would be with our client success director. So he gets you onboarded. We use Discord, prefer to Slack, to be honest. And so we get you set up inside of there. You get a private channel with us inside of there, easy one-on-one communication. That's where we speak to most of our partners daily. Then we get you set up inside of Go High Level if you don't already. We get you set up inside of our software, inside our conversational AI platform. We get you a license count as well, so you can white label it as your own. And we get you added into our partner school. So a lot of you watching this video, if you're new, you probably maybe not have seen it, but if you're familiar with us in Insight AI, you've definitely seen our free school community. We have almost 10,000 people in there at the time of this recording, but it's our free school. It's about 50 modules, very basic overview of a lot of aspects. Then our partner school is about 3.5 times bigger. It's about 170 modules, very, very in-depth on everything that we're going to be building and going through throughout here. And we are always adding new modules when we add new things to it, all that sort of stuff. It actually might be closer to 180 modules now, but a lot of people like to watch videos as we're going through stuff here. And so that helps a lot speed up the process, because you can go through our entire school and you don't need to be communicating with us nonstop. If you're going through the school, you can just ask us questions whenever you have them, feedback whenever you want us to take a look at something, and you can speed through stuff. So it makes it easier for a lot of people. And we get you access to tracker sheets, so we can track all the KPIs, all the numbers, the leads, the appointments, the conversion rates, the show rates, the lead to booking rate, the close rate, all the stuff we want to track, so we know the numbers from day one of working with you. Because if you don't know the numbers, you're setting yourself up just for complete failure, because it's going to make things difficult to optimize later down the line. So that's day one. That's the onboarding phase. And then usually this says day two, but a lot of people just start on this right after the onboarding call, right? Getting into this, because on this call, we'll kind of transition to this, help you set up the core offer, the niche you kind of want to go after. Do you want to go after one niche, multiple niches? Do you want to go broad targeting? They all work, but it's good to know because we tweak things down the line according to that. But the demand for Voice AI is there regardless. We have partners, over 50 partners in all countries worldwide. And so the demand is there as long as you have things set up properly, which is what we're here for. And then pricing, how do you want to price it? Large upfront payments, monthly retainers, rev share, combination of all those, up to you. But nonetheless, in the beginning, we really kind of push for upfront payments, because the more cash you have to play with upfront in the beginning just makes things easier. Invest more in ads, bring on team members, whatever the process is. It's just nice to have a bit of cash to play with in the beginning. And then we move into the automation side of things, which is where we use our Go High Level snapshot. It makes things very easy. We copy over everything from our Go High Level into yours. Saves a good 15, 20 hours of the really, really tedious setup. In my opinion, probably the most boring thing in here, which is why the snapshot's so useful, because we get everything inside of there. Our funnel structure, the automations, the pipelines, the calendars, everything inside of there, all the webhooks and stuff we need for the triggering the AI to call as well. And all the nurturing sequences, booking sequences, welcome sequences, everything like that. And we can also build a ton more once you start scaling. So then into the AI side of things. So if you're selling the AI, it's super, super useful to use it yourselves as well. So we get you very comfortable with our platform. Our platform is built for agency owners by agency owners, right? So it's not a technical platform. You don't need to be a coder or anything. It's very, very easy to use. And I have a ton of other videos going through that as well. But inside of our classroom, there's a full section just breaking down the platform, getting you access to it, showing you how to use it. You'll get very, very comfortable with it very, very quickly. If our team can figure out how to use it and we can use it and build it, I have no question that you guys will be fine. And anytime we add a new feature, we immediately record a video on it, post it in there as well, let all the partners know about it. And so that way you're always up to date with what's being added, the changes we're making, everything like that. But get you comfortable with building cold callers, appointment callers, reminder callers, how to integrate with your Go High Level calendar, so it can be booking appointments for you when you start getting leads coming through, which I'll talk about in a second here. Then we move on to kind of the main three aspects of the sales process: the funnel, the VSL, and the ads themselves. So the funnel, proven structure that we use, very, very good. Regardless of AI or anything, this funnel structure works good across really all industries. The funnel, the kind of principles of a good funnel don't change, but for the AI side of things, there's some extra things we want to throw in there. Some good testimonials related to the AI, which you may not have at the start, but you will eventually, as long as you work with us to set this up. And then we also want to have demos and everything like that in there to showcase the AI. Maybe you doing live calls. So things like that are a bit different for the AI funnels, but you also want to have qualifications in there to be filtering out the businesses who are not meeting the standards, right? We like to be targeting businesses doing 500K to 10 million a year, regardless of the industry, because those businesses can afford it. They can benefit a ton. Odds are they're making a ton of phone calls. So those are the cream of the crop clients for Voice AI. Anything smaller, you can close them for sure. It might be a bit of a smaller deal, but a good thing with AI is a small deal is anywhere from like 3 to 6K. But they just might not benefit as much. Not to say they won't benefit at all, but they usually have less leads, less calls to be made. And so the thing with Voice AI is the value the business gets kind of directly correlates with how big the business is, because they're going to be making more phone calls. So the more phone calls they can replace with the AI, the more benefit they're going to see from it. So not to say small businesses are bad clients, but it's just going to be sometimes maybe a little tougher for them to really justify it, especially if they have like a few leads coming through a day. It might not make sense financially for them to pay for it. But again, that's why we target the larger businesses, medium to large businesses, because they can benefit a ton. And again, that's why we want to have those qualifications in there to make sure we're getting those businesses on your calendar. Then the VSL. So we help you with all this, the script. You'll record it and then we can edit it up a little bit. But again, we have some main points that we follow in the VSL every single time for handling the main objections with the AI, answering a lot of the main questions, and just overall making the prospect want to buy more. That's the main point of a VSL. If somebody watches your VSL and they don't want to buy more after, you did it wrong. If somebody watches your VSL and they don't have some of their objections handled already, you did it wrong. If somebody watches your VSL and then the call still turns into a Q&A because they didn't get enough questions answered in the VSL, you did it wrong. So we'll help you set up all that, because VSL is very, very important. And we have a question when you book with us. Hey, did you watch our VSL? Because we know if you watched it, you are much, much more qualified, much more primed to work with us than if you didn't. We'll usually just cancel your call right away or tell you to go watch it, because that's a big of a difference the VSL makes. All right. And then the paid ad side of things. So ads is our bread and butter. That's how we can really, really start bringing in leads, appointments, all sort of stuff. Very scalable, very leveraged, the most leveraged form of acquisition that is outbound. And so very, very effective. We help you set up all the campaigns, all the creatives, the copy, the headlines. We have proven stuff that works very, very good across all industries. Then we just tweak them, the creative, the copy, the headlines, the targeting to fit your ideal audience, your location, all that sort of stuff. We usually start targeting your country, wherever you're from. And then as we scale up, start branching out into other countries as well. But the ads, again, we're always testing new ads, creatives, copy, headline, targeting, everything, campaign structure. And then when we find things that are performing better, we let you know and we make tweaks to it. All right. And we help with the pixel and everything like that just for data tracking, but that's fairly straightforward. Then the last thing we want to have set up before we launch the ads is the actual automation to track all the data, because this is not something you want to be dealing with manually. So we set up a ton of Zapier automations, which we'll show you how to do. And that's for anytime a new lead, appointment, close deal, show, or no show, cancel, booked call, new lead, whatever it is comes through, it updates the tracker sheet that I mentioned at the start here automatically with all their information, the data, all that sort of stuff. So you just don't have to deal with that manually, because that's a pain in the ass. So take care of that automatically. Now we can launch the ads. So as you can see, this is quite a bit that we want to set up here. That's why we put aside the first 3 weeks for it. Some people get it done in like a week, 10 days, but 3 weeks is usually pretty standard for people who have jobs, school, other kind of obligations in their life. And then we launch the ads. We'll hop on a call with you, launch these ads with you, and we'll be checking in on your ads daily for the first week, making sure KPIs are being hit, making sure the cost per lead is looking good, the CTR is looking good, the leads are qualified that are coming through, making sure all the numbers and KPIs are just hitting kind of at least in the range that we want to see. That first week, you'll usually get leads within that first day, appointments within the first kind of 1 to 3 days, depending on the spend you start with. But we'll be looking very, very good from there, and we'll be checking on your ads every day. So that's phase 2. That's the audit and build. Now the ads are launched. Now we move into phase 3, which is the acquisition. We're closing deals and we're fulfilling. And so when it comes to sales, a lot of people, sales is kind of their biggest bottleneck when we see them, because a lot of them either think they're good at sales, but they're not, which is common, or they think they're going to be better at sales if they haven't taken a sales call before, which anybody who's taken sales knows your first sales call is going to be just terrible, just going to be just complete shit. You know that. If you've taken sales calls, you know that. You're not going to be amazing at sales your first time. It's going to take a bit of learning. And so we have a ton of sales training. We have sales recordings. We'll analyze your recordings. We'll give you feedback. We have a structure that works very, very good. We have a script. I don't like to say follow a script, because I don't like following a script on a sales call. It just sounds unnatural and salesy, but we have kind of a script to keep in mind as you're going through the call with certain things to ask, but you need to make it flow naturally and all this sort of stuff. Objections. We have guidance on the main objections you're going to face, but a lot of the stuff beforehand and how you frame the discovery part of the call deals with a lot of those objections that you're going to see, and you might still need to handle some, but ideally you don't, and you just close them. And then also how to price it. We have all the stuff on how you should price it, because there's such a wide range for what these guys can ask for. Simple builds, complex builds, multiple agents, one agent, passing data back and forth. That's why the price can range so much from like 3K to like 30K. You'll see that. It'll make sense sometimes for you to maybe price a business at 15, 20K up front, which might seem a bit crazy now, but we have people doing that. We had people who came in, they're 17 years old, and their first client, they closed for 34K. We have partners who their first close were 15K, 10K, 19K. So you got to kind of get that limiting belief out of there, because it's very doable. All right. And then into the fulfillment. So the fulfillment side of things, this is where you're just building the AI for them, right? So there's simple builds and complex builds. Simple builds, we show you how to do, a couple APIs, maybe nothing crazy, kind of the same build you would use or we use, or you're just connecting an agent to go high level. That's pretty standard. We call that a simple build. There are complex builds where businesses are going to ask for like multiple agents, passing data back and forth, connected with a bunch of different systems and doing a lot of crazy stuff where there's maybe pre-call outcomes, post-call outcomes, setting and doing stuff in between. And so that's where it gets complex. And in those cases, we act as a fulfillment partner for you if you like. Some people that we work with are tech savvy, so they can do this stuff themselves, but 95% can't, which is fine. That's why we act as a fulfillment partner for you. And in those cases, you pay our engineers 10% of the deal. They'll do the whole fulfillment for you. And so almost all of our partners take advantage of that, so they don't have to worry about those complex builds. And let's say you close the deal for 10K, pay our engineers $1,000. They do the whole fulfillment for you. You don't need to do anything. And we have a whole process laid out. I have another video going over that. What that kind of process looks like in a nutshell. It's the onboarding, but it's very, very seamless, very in-depth. And so you really don't have to do anything after you pay that 10%. We'll take care of the entire process. And that way you're still profiting 90%. Margins are still looking juicy. Maybe with ads, you're sitting at 80, 85% margins, but puts you in a really, really good spot and you don't need to do anything for the fulfillment. So that's phase 3 here. Phase 3 really continues forever, right? You're closing, you're doing fulfillment forever until you really start delegating. But we let you delegate to us for a large portion of it. So now, scaling and support. Like I said earlier, ideally at this point, you've hit that 10K a month mark. That's like 1 to 2 clients. Maybe you're even at that 10 to 15K month range. That's usually what we see here around day 60 to kind of day 75. And then now we can focus on scaling. Scaling is, if you've never scaled a business from 10K to like 50K, it's going to be a bit kind of, I don't know what the word is, daunting, a little intimidating, because it is a big jump, but we've done it multiple times now. So it's nothing too crazy. In a nutshell, it's really finding the biggest bottleneck, the biggest constraint, whatever it is, refining it, moving on to the next, because it doesn't matter. You need to find the biggest constraint, because let me give you kind of a comparison. Let's say you're working in a car shop. Let's say you have 2 engines, you have 8 full car bodies, and you have, let's say, enough wheels for 5 sets of cars. So you have wheels for 5 sets of cars. You have, let's say, 8 bodies, but you only have 2 engines. It doesn't matter if you increase your amount of bodies to, 10 if you only have 2 engines. And let's say you can only make 1 car a day. That's 2 full cars you can make before you're out. And so it doesn't matter if you increase to 1,000 car bodies or to, 100 sets of wheels. You only have 2 engines, and so that's your limit. So that's why you need to fix the amount of engines you have, and then your next biggest constraint will probably be the amount of sets of wheels you have. You increase that, then it'll probably be the bodies, and you go on and so forth. And that's the same with the business. You find what the biggest constraint is and you fix it. You move on to the next one, you fix it, the next one, you fix it. And as you're doing this, you're increasing ad spend. You're maybe bringing on team members, which we help you with, and we'll help you with the whole scaling process. We have large pools of talent, VAs, setters, closers, triagers, engineers that we can place in your business, all on commission basis. So you just pay them commission for what they do. And the last thing here is we like to work really closely with you to build all this. It's really a white glove thing. We're working through with all of this from the day one you get onboarded. We're communicating with you every day in the private channel. We like to do weekly one-on-one check-in calls with all our partners as well. And there's also 10 calls every single week where somebody on our team, myself, Nick, our client success director, our setter, our engineer, they're hopping on calls and they're answering questions for the partners about whatever is appointment setting, fulfillment, sales, the processes, the systems, whatever it is. And so we like to work really closely with everybody. And so that is a quick overview of the process we follow. I hope that gave you a ton of clarity on kind of how you can go about it. You can probably look at this and go through it yourself and do all this sort of stuff. And look, like I said, if you want us to kind of walk you through and work closely with you to build all of this, click the link down below and you'll be able to take a look. But this is what we do. This is the process we follow. And this is how we've been able to help so many agencies close their first client with the AI, close 10K, 15K, 20K deals, hit that 10K, 20, 30K a month mark. And this is why we're so confident in it, because as you can see, when you have it down to a system like this, it's just repeating the same thing over and over again. And yeah, I hope this gave you clarity on kind of the processes we take, the systems we follow, and hopefully we can help you hit that 10K month mark very, very quickly and then scale beyond.